So let's go into it, Von. Your biggest business win for the year.
Ooh, I would say without a doubt, building the co-work space has been huge.
Is getting banned.
In the US.
Okay.
US only, so Australia will still have it, but I am very curious as to what the demand curve will happen with content and just like attention and content and like that whole space. If that does come to light, and it does happen in January, don't know if it will, or, courts take their time, what's going to happen?
I hate the conversation that happens between agencies when it's like you've got a media partner and a creative partner and then they're not working together. And so just bringing it under one house just makes it so much quicker.
We've needed to for quick iterations, like we're a team that iterates and builds on creative ideas quickly and need assets quite quick. And we do have quick partners, but I think being able to just hone in a lot, particularly in that video component, has been a game changer for us.
It was a year that was more challenging than I expected.
Yeah, agency life is tough, Sam.
It is, but that's not the reason.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Board Pod. We are on episode 5, and today I thought we would go and reflect on the year. Why not? In the spirit of the season, we can do biggest wins, biggest losses, maybe both professional and personal. And then I also want to hear from you, Sam, just to add a little spanner into the mix around your biggest surprises, or surprise, I should say, that the year has given you.
Yeah, I think this will tee up really well. It's the end of December. And then I think next time we're doing a section on our biggest predictions for 2025. So it'll land in January. So it's
true. That's our next podcast though, right?
Yeah. So today we're going to focus on this year that has been and everything we've kind of learned. So hopefully there's some gems in there for you if you're listening to this. But otherwise we're going to kind of jump straight into it. So let's go into it, Von. Your biggest business win for the year.
Ooh, I would say without a doubt, building the co-work space has been huge. I feel like this was a dream of mine that I thought maybe I'll achieve in like 5 years' time or something like that. It was a distant dream. But the fact that it came to reality this year is so cool. Blew me away, and I love the space. It's beautiful.
That was going to be my biggest surprise. Now that I think about
true.
It was not on the cards this year. Like if we look back, if we did this, or we did our predictions for the year, this was never on the cards. It wasn't in any of our strategy documents. It was never in anything. So that was going to be my biggest surprise. And the biggest win for me is building out our creative team at Vonnimedia. I think there's a lot of agencies that say
biggest win or surprise?
Biggest win.
Oh, win.
Yeah. My biggest win for the year is building out a creative team in more completeness. We've spoken about it in the past of trying to do it, but now I've really committed to it and created that creative team in-house rather than doing what a lot of agencies do where they're a media buying agency and say they do creative and just outsource to another agency. We are bringing everything in-house and it's just speeding us up so much, which I think really
speed is key for us in terms of just, retail holidays, delivery, outputs, creative control. It's been great to be able to hone in on that a lot more. We still do though, like depending on what the creative deliverable is, obviously you have varying ranges of creative across so many different spectrums. There are still key partners that we utilize within the business, which is a huge strength because to have them all under one roof, maybe one day.
That's the goal.
That would be amazing. But yeah, for now, until we get the validation.
I hate the conversation that happens between agencies when it's like you've got a media partner and a creative partner and then they're not working together. And so just bringing it under one house just makes it so much quicker.
We've needed to for quick iterations, like we're a team that iterates and builds on creative ideas quickly and need assets quite quick. And we do have quick partners, but I think being able to just hone in a lot, particularly in that video component, has been a game changer for us. Much needed for the service offerings that we have. And
also for our marketing as well. It speeds us up from a content creation point of view. So that's been my biggest win. Awesome. There's some pretty big wins there. And then biggest loss, Von?
I would say we're doing the podcast now and I think we're investing in personal brand growth now by producing some more content, but it's December. So I think that from a loss perspective, then I would say that there's been a whole year of missed opportunities to really carve out that space at the start of the year versus kind of having that idea at the start of 2024 and executing it November, December. It would have been great if that was achieved in January to March, all the way until December. When they say look back in a year from now, I think it's one of those moments where starting now, I don't get that luxury.
Yeah, so we'll be looking back in 12 months, but we could have waited another 12 months.
That's true.
And I think we have known for a long time that this is where we wanted to go. And so executing that finally, but yes, it didn't happen at the speed that both you and I wanted it to happen. I think there's some lessons in that as to why. I think you and I hadn't lined up on exactly what we wanted and figured it out between us. Like we both had our own views of where we wanted it to go.
Yeah, I think also just prioritization, honestly. I went product led, you went creative led and different area led. And so it was just not our priority to build our personal brand. But you can see of course, like the benefits that it has. And it's also just a great, activity to do in general, just to build up your soft skills and to build your relationships and have fun. Like
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is.
I get to talk to you more, which is amazing. I get an hour every 2 weeks to sit down and just look at you and have
you got the rest of your life.
I do have the rest of my life, and forever is not long enough. Just the sob story there.
Guys. All right, maybe. What's yours?
For me, I think I said this to you yesterday driving home. I feel like I'm spending more of my time in the business, which is a good and a bad thing, not doing the things that I really want to do because I'm doing things for other people, which is also part of our role. It's like it is part of our role, but I think it has slowed down our ability to execute exactly what we want to do. And so that is a lesson for me. It's like a year in of self-employment, to put it frankly. And so learning that like self-employment doesn't mean you get to do exactly what you're going to do all the time is a bit of a loss. But I think it's slowed down our execution of what we know is important. And so I like to work on really important things and measure impact. And like, it's not about the volume of things you do. It's about the things that you do that make the biggest change. And so that this year, I think I focused too much on volume of things getting done, firefighting, which you have to do, but it took up way more of my time and my energy and also my focus than I would personally like. And I think I think we are the biggest blockers on the business. And so where we focus our time is what's going to have the biggest leverage of pushing us forward to where we want to get to.
Fair enough. Anything else?
No, I think that lands it for me from a business losses. I think time management and also just focus. Like we had a strategy. I think our strategy was way too big and extensive for the team that we had. We should have just narrowed way tighter at the start of the year. I think we had something like, was it 17 or 18 metrics that we were trying to measure? Silly. That's something you would have in a big organization. I think we needed 2 or 3 and the whole team just got behind those. So that was a learning. I think our strategy was just too far-reaching, too many goals rather than really focused, high-impact ones. Yeah, cool. And personal wins? I think we're going to share this one.
Yeah. We got married. I wanted to see if you'd join in that. Yes, we got married. That's like the best personal win
Have we spoken about our wedding on the podcast?
Probably not in detail. Up to you if you want to do that now.
I think the wedding was it was the best day of our lives by a long way.
It was amazing. Beautiful friends. Close family. It was just the most magical couple of days that we could have ever asked for.
I really understand now why people say your wedding is your best day of your life. Make sure you do it. Because we discussed eloping.
Yeah.
Just like, we're in Canada, let's just get it done. Like, we don't need the big hurrah. I mean, that would have been special too. But I'm so, so glad we spent the energy, the time, and the focus there to really make that day something that we will never forget.
Yeah.
And hopefully our friends never forget it and they had a good time as well.
Yes. Yeah. It was truly the best dream come true. Maybe in another podcast we can go into the nitty-gritties of it. But for today, I think overarching, that was the biggest win. What else? I'm trying to think at the top of my head.
I think Natasha Bedingfield's song has now become in our social circles coined as our song.
I love that because that song has been like my song for a long time. Like beyond, what's that, Anyone But You movie?
Yeah.
Beyond, like I am a serial, like The Hills, Laguna Beach, like that is my jam and that song existed then. Like it has been my song since I was a child. And so it's been really exciting to have that be, I guess for those who don't know, we had TikToks and things go viral for our, I guess like our, what do you call it? Like our dance floor at our
first
wedding.
Dance, yeah.
So that was really cool. The other thing was it was just the year for weddings as well. I had one of my best friends get married, also had my hands, her hands. One of your best friends got married.
Yeah,
just feel like it was a really beautiful year for like really close people to us getting married.
It was amazing.
That was really special to have that all happen at once because it just felt like a constant adrenaline and celebration and yeah.
Just so many smiles. Our cheeks were hurting from the smiles of all the weddings. But yeah, wedding season has definitely been in flight for us this year. all of our friends getting married. And next year, I think April, we've got like 4.
No, we have 2 in April.
2, okay. Yeah, last year was 4.
Yeah, we had 4 between March and April.
Yeah.
Sorry to be so pragmatic.
No, it was amazing. It was just such a fun time. So next year we're going to get to experience it again, which I'm super excited about. It's a lot of fun.
It's a good time of year to get married. We got married in April, so we took some advice.
It was the wettest day of the year, but we will...
No, it wasn't.
No, the day after was. It was 350
was.
mils of rain in like 2 hours.
I'm so glad we didn't get married that day.
It was crazy.
Yeah,
it was flooding.
when we got married, the ceremony part, all of the rain cleared. It was so magnificent. It just was, and then as soon as it finished and everyone went like to the next stage of the cocktail hour, then it started raining again. But everyone was undercover by that point, and it just this moment in time of like an hour and a half of no rain.
I think the ceremony got removed 3 times.
Yeah. Yes, it was going to be inside a couple of times and in different locations, and it was quite stressful for me at least, because I had a vision that I really wanted it to be outside, and I was slowly losing that vision. But then when they asked me, do you want it outside? We're going to take the risk. I just said, just take the risk, and it worked.
Cool. Awesome. And losses. Let's move on to the other side. Losses or learnings?
One of my biggest losses was not being able to go to Tasmania this year. My dad lives in Tasmania, and I didn't do a trip this year, which kind of, you reflect on your year, and it sucks that you didn't carve out the time, or that balancing act between work commitments and the personal boundaries of what to commit to definitely was felt in that arena. So for me, I think that's a loss. Definitely. Think that it would have been
My sister's down there as well. There's absolutely no reason we shouldn't have gone.
Yeah, so I think that's definitely a loss on my end. I think another loss for me was we had a trip booked to Europe, but we didn't go because we had other commitments that were work related, which is so fine. We got some really positive outcomes by not going on that trip, and it's just a reality of being a business owner. So overall, I'm neutral about it. Yeah, just obviously love Europe.
You lose it on the personal side, you gain it on the business side. But yes, it is a loss. Like we were really keen to go and drive from south of France all the way down to Portugal and fly home. And yeah, we had flights booked and everything, and we canned it.
Yeah, we did.
That was a hard night to make that call.
It was. But like I said, I feel very neutral about it. It's okay. Europe will always be there, and we made that commitment to the projects that we wanted to deliver on. I think the other personal loss for me was that we had to work our entire honeymoon, which really affected me personally, because that was just a very sacred personal experience that I wanted to just relax and recover. And we worked the entire honeymoon, which I'm not going to lie, like that was probably one of my biggest personal losses of the year, was kind of missing that like special moment in time.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know you're right in front of me.
It's fine. Like it's the reality. We did, and it sucked.
Yeah, it was just something. But that's just one of those things that once again, when you run your own business, things to be wary of is that the buck stops with you. And sometimes that means making those sacrifices for your business to continue sufficient operations.
Yeah, and it is a reality.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah, I wish we didn't have to. So there were just external things out of our control with change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I think we made a lot of sacrifices this year, personally. Yeah. I think we have sacrificed way more than we have in previous years. I think I said it on episode 1 of the podcast, like we've kind of been in a cruise state up until this year. Like last year.
Speak for yourself, mate. No, I've been running this for 5 years.
You have. So
Not on cruise mode.
First 1, 2, 3 years were like really, really grindy. Felt like this year. Made a lot of sacrifices. Last year was less intense than this year has been. From a commitment, sacrifice of our personal lives. Sure. This year has definitely felt more.
Yeah, that's true. I think back to last year and feel like it was at a really good pace and alignment. Went through, ups and downs. Definitely felt lifestyle was better balanced.
Last year, yeah. Agreed. So this year I think we've sacrificed way more in terms of our health, our friends, our time with like cancelling our holiday, working on our honeymoon. Like it's just a summation of sacrifice this year. Hopefully in the year or two we reap the rewards of that sacrifice. If not, we're going to have to learn and make better decisions in the future. Were they the right decisions? I still don't know the answer yet.
No, just kidding, yes.
I don't know the answer to that yet. Yeah. I think we haven't had the time to play out to know if what we've decided this year is the right decision.
Yeah, agree.
That was biggest for me. I haven't been to the gym for 6 months, which is shocking.
You go soccer and we walk in all the time. So it's not like you're, becoming a part of a furniture piece. But I understand the I guess like the loss on that part.
Yeah, you stop exercising, then you stop eating well, then you stop sleeping well, then your work gets worse and your relationships get worse. So like just getting that flow right is just so hard.
Yeah. I'm impressed you bring it up though, because I feel like the stereotypical feature of a successful business owner is that that's a prerequisite to your success.
Yeah, I think a successful business owner, we're just business owners at the moment, trying to work on the successful part.
I'm kicking you off this podcast, mate. It's just one after the other.
Well, it doesn't feel like the successful doesn't feel true. Like I feel like we're still in the grind stage. Like I wouldn't put my hand out and say we're successful.
Can't wait for this to go live.
No, well, I just like, we're a business owner, we're working. And like we're working hard and sacrificing lots. Let's see if it pays off and we get the results for it. Moving into the biggest surprise. What was your biggest surprise for 2024?
From a professional standpoint, TikTok potentially getting banned like next month, which I think is crazy that it's not even on my feed.
Has that come back again?
Yeah, it's set to be banned in January. It's mid-December. I don't know why I don't have anything in my algorithm.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought this was just like a flash in the pan moment of like, we're getting TikTok banned and then it just vanished. So now TikTok is getting banned.
In the US.
Okay.
US only. So Australia will still have it, but I am very curious as to what the demand curve will happen with content and just like attention and content and like that whole space. If that does come to light, and it does happen in January, don't know if it will, or, you know, courts take their time, what's going to happen? Like that is...
Don't they have an option to divest?
They can sell the ByteDance app. So they can sell it or get banned.
Interesting. Who do you reckon would buy it?
My first person that came to mind was Elon, but I don't know.
Elon buying TikTok? Okay, yeah.
I was just kidding. He buys platforms. So that's the first person that comes to mind. I don't know, whoever, maybe Amazon.
Okay, Amazon's an interesting pick, Jeff, coming in. I reckon Mark could buy it.
Mark
Zuckerberg. From Meta.
Yeah.
And like, who cares about having another social platform? Like, I know Instagram has a lot of the features and they probably get a lot of the adoption. There is suspicions that the CCP owns and has influence over TikTok. The request from the US regulator is to separate TikTok from ByteDance and create its own entity, hold its data outside of China, and have no influence from the Chinese government on that business.
That's right.
Therefore, TikTok can stand alone as a business in the US that services the US market is the ask. ByteDance needs to sell off TikTok for the US market and globally.
Otherwise, it'll get banned.
Exactly. And so if the US bans it, I would not be surprised to see Europe follow along suit. And then Australia's already making its own moves, and my biggest surprise was how quickly this ban in Australia came through for children under the age of 16 having social media.
So fast.
And just like how broad it is. It's just like any platform that has any communication between people is considered a social media platform. And there's no clarification. And then they all of a sudden let YouTube slip through. Even though YouTube has shorts, it has the same distribution, it has comment threads, it has all of these capabilities. But TikTok's banned, even though it's more of a media consumption platform like YouTube. And so the lines are so blurry.
Yeah,
this is just going to get fought out in the courts. And like something like Moodle, which was a platform we used in education, would classify as a social media. It has a feed. It has messaging between each other, but it's used through all education platforms. So is Moodle a social media platform that gets covered under this regulation? Who knows? So I think it's going to blow up next year. I think January, February, March next year, it's just going to blow up of like, where did kids go? And where do kids who can get access to this because their parents don't care go, and the ones who can't? And then the social dynamics there. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out. I don't think the Australian government's really thought it through. And the world is like, what is going on down under? We're just doing that thing where we just ban things. It reminds me of 2022 when we made Facebook and these platforms pay news outlets for coverage, which just wasn't thought through. The regulation wasn't strong, and now Meta's just like, sorry, not going to pay you guys anymore.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so now Meta is just like, sorry, if you want to put your content on our platform, you can, but we're not going to pay you. And so they're still doing it. So you go on Instagram, Meta, on Facebook, all these platforms are still, you can get news there, but they're not getting paid for it like the regulation was written to do. So I think it's just, again, people just throwing regulation to get votes and not thinking it through.
I mean, you got to hand it to Australia though, when they feel very passionate about something. It's, you know, done. Like you think of the gun control.
True. Yeah. Yeah. It has a very
Go
good
Australia
point.
for that.
I think the regulation's a good idea.
Yeah.
I just have no idea how they're going to implement it. And why does YouTube get free clearance? I know Google has a very strong relationship.
Well, YouTube for kids is also like a, do you know what I mean? Like that's I guess, what do you call it? Like a censored area to be able to control the environment for kid consumption.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's how they were able to kind of navigate an exception.
Yeah, but the rest of the YouTube is still available.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. So that's, it's going to be a fun.
I wonder how it will shape
space.
culture, because the younger generations do shape
They do.
the social media culture.
They do.
And so are we going to see a drift back to YouTube as the platform that culture is shaped on versus your TikToks and Instagrams, and Snapchats of the world, which have been the key areas? Like, is next year culture being shaped on YouTube long form or YouTube shorts?
If that's going to be their
In
only
Australia.
available medium.
And that's how they consume the world.
Yeah, it definitely could be a big shift there, particularly as that's when they're evolving and, going through the habits that then set them up. It's like maybe YouTube will be their go-to consumption platform. Therefore, that's where the money, the attention, the content creation will go.
5 to 6 years.
Which would be great. I love YouTube. It's one of my favorite platforms. So
I think next
if
year
it does go that way, I'm not mad about it.
I don't want to foreshadow the next episode too much, but I think we'll talk about long form content and YouTube specifically in a lot more detail in the next episode, because I think there's some interesting stuff around 2025 and where the world's going, particularly in our world. So we'll talk about that on the next podcast. Is there any other learnings you want to take away from 2024? If you were to sum the year up in one sentence, how would you sum up 2024?
You go first.
It was a year that was more challenging than I expected.
Yeah. Agency life is tough, Sam.
It is, but that's not the reason. I think we all came into the year thinking inflation's over, rates are going to get cut, consumers are going to spend more. When consumers spend more, the whole world gets easier. Business gets easier. People are more open to it, to business. People feel better when they're able to feel like they're in a position where they're okay to spend. Australia's inflation has been very sticky comparative to the rest of the world. US has cut rates by like 2% in the last, I think, fact check me, 2%. This year, we've done nothing. That impacts a lot of people who have borrowed and have feel poorer than they did in previous years. And so that drips down through everything, whether it's our media, it's our consumption, how our friends feel, how powerful or powerless people feel. And so it creates an environment that I think this year was more challenging for Australia than previous years. I think we've always been so used to prosperous environments, and we're learning that. Is it going to get worse? I don't think so. But it's been a really interesting year. So yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. No, I mean, learnings are just, continue to invest in yourself and continue to put the posture and the positioning of that first. And then that allows you to then do incredible work from there. So I think like just that approach of making sure that you set yourself up for success to then show up as best as you can for the other areas of your life. And that ROI is actually like a 10 versus maybe in your head where you think it's like a 1. It's like, no, if you invest that little bit of time into yourself to get yourself postured correctly, then what that does is improve your friendships, your relationships, the way that you get your work done in terms of speed, effectiveness, quality, motivation, things like that, but also stems into your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, all those things. And so I think that's been a really good learning from this year around like the disparate differences of when you prioritize that, when you don't, and what the consequences are when you don't. And I think as well, I could get into so many different subtopics of this, but I think when you do show up for yourself and you can demonstrate those traits of discipline and consistency and saying yes to the hard, it is noticeable, even on a minor scale. Like even if you do 1 day of it, 1 week of it, 2 weeks of it, 3 months of it, a whole year of it, it is actually noticed. It may feel like, oh, no one's going to notice, so it doesn't matter. But it is. And I mean that in a very encouraging way, that you don't have to wait for like a year for then someone to look up and see that you're different. It's like the moment that you choose to make different decisions that then affect the way that you show up, it then has ramifications into a whole other, I guess, set of tools that you can have, and just how people will then respond and be able to engage with you changes. And that can happen quite immediately, which is really exciting. Because like if you do something for yourself, you go on a walk or you set yourself up for the day, you do all the things, you have the breakfast, a lot of water, all the good stuff, you'll show up with a completely different energy set. And immediately that can then change the outcome of how you can then achieve your day, or then, you know, achieve a relationship with someone that then transforms your life or your day-to-day within a team environment. So I want to encourage everyone here that if you're kind of in that, like, do I go, do I not? And obviously, like, live your life, have fun, and, like, you know, don't take it, whatever. There's different scales of how people will approach this. But just continue to strive for excellence, because I think when you see excellence as your baseline, then excellence will come. Yeah. And if you want to map your ambition to your outcomes, then, like, you need to, and those ambitions are high, then the excellence needs to kind of start from all of those little habits in yourself. I always go a bit more professional, personal development-esque, but I think that's...
Von, when she walks into a bookstore, goes straight to the business and professional... Business and professional development section. I don't think you know about any of the other book sections.
No, I go less to the personal development now because I feel like I understand, you know what I mean? Like, it's almost a bit repetition for me now because I feel like I consumed it a lot in, like, my youth to young adulthood. Now I just focus on, different tactical hard skills or technical skills that I can upskill in, and just people who also manage their time really well or are definitely at like a 10x multiple to what I'm doing, just to get around not only the behaviors, but I would say also just like the habits and the skills and the priorities that they make, that I can then have a new train of thought. So then I can achieve a different outcome, because you don't want to be doing the same thing and expect something different.
You don't.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Great wrap.
End of the year. Yeah, we have to admit I have a very busy week this week. So I do empathize if you're listening to this podcast and you're like, oh, damn, they're a bit hostile. Yeah, we are. Because I got some very big kind of, I guess, things going on this week.
Awesome. All right, well,
okay.
Well, we do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Evidence number one.
All right, let's wrap there. That's a great episode. And we will see you back in 2 weeks, where we're going to talk about our predictions for 2025, which there's a lot in there. We have a lot of thoughts, and you and I have discussed them quite detailed. So I'm looking forward to putting those up. And then in 12 months, be like, were we right? And actually, maybe we can do a scoreboard of like how many things we got right.
Sounds good. I look forward to everyone listening to that next podcast. Dive in and definitely let us know if you're listening and you want to contribute to the conversation. Just message us and give us what your predictions are and whether you agree, disagree, or just happy to contribute. We're all ears.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.